The concept of watershed treatment has been derived from hydrologic cycle. The component of hydrologic cycle such as rainfall, runoff, evaporation and transpiration are related to watershed. A watershed or a drainage basin is defined as natural, topographical and hydrological entity where surface water from rain and melting snow or ice converges to a single point, which is usually the exit or outlet of the drainage basin. Watershed can be simply defined as an area where the water from rainfall and snowfall is drained to a common point. Other terms used to describe a watershed or a drainage basin is catchment, catchment area, catchment basin, river basin and water basin. This outlet may be another water body such as big river, lake, estuary, wetland, sea or an ocean. In a closed watershed, the water converges to a single point inside the basin, which may be a permanent lake, dry lake or a point where surface water is lost as underground water. The watershed or a drainage basin acts as a funnel by collecting all the water within the area covered by the basin and channeling to a single point. Each drainage basin is typographically separated from adjacent basins by a geographical barrier such as a ridge or a watershed line, hill or mountain. The watershed illustrated is composed of few sub-basins or sub-watersheds. With reference to the illustrations, the watershed is composed of 10 sub-basins or sub-watersheds shown by dotted lines, and flow from those sub-basins is finally drained out through a common outlet. Some closed watersheds of inland seas and salt lakes that have no outlets to oceans are also found in different places of the world. These basins include those of Caspian Sea in Russia and Iran, the Great Salt Lake in Utah and Salton Sea in California, the Aral Sea in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, Dead Sea in Israel and Jordan, and Lake Balkhash in Russia. Concept of watershed management. This watershed constantly undergoes the action and reaction of many hydrologic and hydraulic components or phenomena. For a systematic, sustainable development of the watershed, its proper management is important, taking into the consideration of those components. The following works comes under the purview of watershed management. Various hydrologic components of watershed such as precipitation, infiltration, evaporation, evapotranspiration, runoff and groundwater. Hydraulic components such as flood, its migration and control, flood disaster management, river bank erosion, river training against erosion and meandering, drainage basin management on sedimentation in river and reservoir, soil erosion, landslides, control of river and reservoir sediment deposition. Environmental policies and practices for protecting ecological and environmental systems. Water quality, water management, water harvesting structures, maintenance of man-made structures such as embankment, retaining wall, dam, weir, barrage, reservoir, spillway for irrigation, water supply, irrigation, hydropower, fish and wildlife, navigation, recreation. Soil conservation, role of vegetation, ecosystem, forestry, agriculture, water application to crop and plant, grassland and wasteland, soil salinity, wasteland management, preparation of land drainage schemes, types and designs of surface drainage, as well as the subsurface drainage in coastal and interior basins. Estimation of design storm and design flood for spillway and other outlet structures. Flood routing through river channels and reservoirs. Flood control through single purpose and multi-purpose reservoir operation. Flood forecasting and protection system and other work come under the purview of watershed management. The history of watershed management is as old as human civilization. Assumptions about a hydrologic cycle were started by the poet Homer, philosopher Plato, Aristotle, and many others. The Greek philosopher in the year 400 BC believed that rain fell on the earth as a result of evaporation of the water from the sea. Bernard Palissy, a French scientist, concluded that the formation of rivers and streams in watershed was the result of rainfall. The streams and rivers so formed eventually fed their net runoff into the seas. Rain gauges used to measure the rainfall were found in China and India around 1200 BC. And in 200 BC, Pierre Perrault, another French scientist, measured the runoff in the 17th century and concluded that runoff is a part of rainfall. Thus, the components of hydrologic cycle were conceived in the ancient days. Similarly, management of irrigation in different drainage basins was found in prehistoric ruins. Irrigation canals and aqueducts were built in 4th century BC in Egypt, Rome and Mesopotamia. The ruins of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa in ancient India have also shown the proof of use of water for irrigation and water supply. The Grand Anicut built in 1st century AD on the Kaveri river is still in use. The Western Yamuna Canal constructed in 14th century was repaired by Emperor Akbar for irrigation in Hisar districts of Himachal Pradesh. Another example is the Eastern Yamuna Canal by British. During the rule of British, many such watershed management works for irrigation, water supply and hydropower were carried out. After the India independence, the first watershed management agency was formed under the Damodar Valley Corporation in Damodar Barkar watershed. DVC established Soil Conservation Department during 1949 to 1950. Union Ministry of Agriculture enhanced the watershed management program by establishing a network of soil conservation research and training at various centers at Chandigarh, Dehradun, Hyderabad, Agra and Utakmandu in 1954. These centers were taken over by Indian Council of Agriculture Research in 1969. The Soil and Water Conservation Division of Union Ministry of Agriculture during 1961 to 62 launched a program called Soil Conservation in the catchments of river valley projects in 27 watersheds. The Rajiv Gandhi Mission on Watershed Development was launched in 1994. In this mission, communities were involved in planning, execution, monitoring and evaluation of watershed development. Under this mission, management of few watersheds such as Jabua district of western Madhya Pradesh, Raleganj Siddhi and Angon in Maharashtra and Kabbinale and Mittemari in Karnataka. Further successful development of watershed management were also carried out by different agencies such as project implementation agencies and watershed management teams with community participation. Each and every watershed has distinct characteristics of its own. In other words, no two watersheds are identical. All these characteristics affect the pattern of disposal of stream flow. That is, the shape of a hydrograph becomes different. The important characteristics or factors affecting the watershed are classified into two categories. They are as follows. One is climatic characteristics, which includes rainfall, its movement, intensity and duration, temperature, wind velocity, humidity, transpiration and evaporation. Second is physiographic characteristics, which include shape, size, slope and nature of watershed, its density, elevation, land use, vegetation cover, soil type, geology, hydrology, socio-economic, lakes, storage, swamps and channels. Climatic characteristics. Climatic characteristics depends on the condition of the watershed. If the climate condition is dry before the rainfall, loss of runoff is more due to infiltration and evapotranspiration. If rain moves downstream, the peak stream flow of watershed occurs quickly. Again, if the rain moves upstream, the peak flow occurs late. The more the intensity of rainfall in the watershed, the more is peak flow disposal from the area. Again, the duration of rainfall also affects the disposal time. If the duration is less, time taken to dispose with the lower peak flow is also less. The estimation of peaks of the runoff hydrograph in different rainfall pattern is very important in watershed management. Different hydraulic structures such as dams, weirs, barrage, reservoirs, spillways, retaining walls and embankment are constructed for different purpose of watershed management such as irrigation, water supply, hydropower projects and soil erosion. For the correct design of these structures, a peak flow assessment of runoff or flood should be accurately worked out. Physiographic characteristics. Shape. The shape of a watershed has a dominant effect on the characteristics of the hydrograph of the watershed such as its peak flow, overland flow and base of hypograph, that is runoff time. Time of lag. Time of lag is defined as the time between center of mass of rainfall and peak of hydrograph. This TL can be calculated directly from the gauged precipitation and stream flow data. National Resource Conservation Service suggested an empirical relationship of TL with the time of concentration Tc as TL is equal to 0.6 Tc. Time of concentration. The time of concentration is the time taken by raindrops to reach outlet from the farthest point of watershed. When rainfall occurs in a watershed, the runoff curve from beginning of storm continuously rises. When all the runoff reaches the outlet, runoff attains a peak value. Lag time and time of concentration are the two parameters that reflects the characteristics of a watershed, influencing quickly or slowly runoff flows out of the watershed. Size. The size of watershed is governed by the size of stream or river and the development and management works taken. For example, the size of whole Mahanadi watershed is 1.425 into 105 km square, whereas the size of watershed of Hirakud multipurpose project is 0.832 into 105 km square. The aims and objectives of development project normally are due to delineate the size. If the project is a minor irrigation project, size may be a few hundred square kilometers. If it is a tank or a pond irrigation, size is just a few square kilometers. In a watershed management works in a hilly or undulating topography, size may be even much smaller. Thus, the size of watershed from macro to micro depends on the topology and the types of development projects. Bali classified the watershed into different categories based on size or area. Name of watershed size or area in square kilometers. Sub watershed 100 to 500, milli watershed 10 to 100, micro watershed 1 to 10, mini watershed which is less than 1. The smaller size of the watershed helps in the measurement of precipitation as well as in water retention and drainage from watershed. Measurement of above parameters is complex for a bigger size. Slope. If the size is more, the velocity is more, and hence flood water drains out quickly, resulting in the hydrograph having a small time base. The falling limb of the hydrograph becomes steep for bigger slope of the catchment. In small basins, overland flow is important, and in such basins, higher slope results in higher peak discharge. Higher slope reduces the infiltration and increases the soil transportation. Density. Watershed density has pronounced effect on peak of the hydrograph. If the density is more, that is, watershed has quite a number of drainages to drain out excess rainfall, peak is more. If the density is low, the peak of hydrograph is also low. Elevation. The more height differences between upstream and downstream at outflow causes excess runoff to drain out quickly. slope becomes more to increase the velocity. In such a situation, overland flow is more and infiltration is low. Land use. Land in watershed is used for numerous purposes such as dwelling houses, cultivation, livestock, water harvesting, roads and railways. This land use affects the runoff rates, artificial and natural drainage, and sewer systems and vegetation. Land use pattern is vital in planning, programming, and implementing any future projects in the watershed. Before planning any watershed project in an area, a survey should be conducted on the pattern of land use, and accordingly the land should be categorized for formulation of an action plan. Vegetation cover. Vegetative covers retard the flow and increase the infiltration and interception, thereby reducing the peak flow. Detailed information on the type of vegetation helps in choosing the type, mode, and manner of greening the whole watershed. Information and surveying from the watershed can predict the plant species favorable for making a green watershed. Vegetation cover protects the soil erosion and at the same time arrests the sediments if present on the runoff. Soil type. The soil such as sand absorbs a larger part of runoff water and so the rate of flow is less, whereas clay soil produces more flow as its absorption is less. Geology. Geologic condition also affects the runoff of watershed. If there are some cracks on rocks joining surface of water and groundwater, a part of water flows quickly underground. Lakes, storages, swamp hold a part of excess rainfall and so peak is less. In this geological condition, groundwater storage will increase. Hydrogeology. The groundwater demand for lift irrigation, farm plantation, drinking water and domestic and industrial uses is more as groundwater is relatively less polluted and pure. During the dry season, community in the watershed has to depend largely on ground. It is estimated that the total amount of groundwater is 42 million kilometer cube, which is 35 times more than the fresh water available in the lakes, reservoirs and streams. This huge amount of groundwater has a lot of use for the management of watershed. Rainfall and runoff. The behavior of water on the watershed is determined by intensity and duration of rainfall. Evenly distributed rainfall over the whole watershed is less damaging to soil than sudden, sharp and heavy rainfall. If the precipitation is higher, runoff, evaporation and infiltration are also more. On the other hand, higher intensity of rainfall increases runoff but lowers evaporation and percolation. If rainfall continues for a long period with low intensity, evaporation and percolation increases but runoff becomes less. Such rainfall causes landslide in vulnerable sloping hillside areas. Silt and sediment. Owing to erosion in the watershed from bare soil, removal of vegetation, man-made activities such as deforestation, hill cutting and so on, runoff carries a huge amount of sediments to streams and finally to reservoirs. River begins to meander and bed loads are deposited on the bed. The capacity to carry flood goes on decreasing. Again, construction of embankments in river hinders the velocity, causing sediment deposition. During heavy rainfall, embankment fails, creating floods in adjoining villages, towns and crop fields. Floodwater deposits a huge amount of sediments in crop fields and thus the whole watershed is badly affected by silt and sediment. Hence, control of sediments at the origin of watershed is vital. Reservoir is an important water source for different services of the community of the watershed. Besides creating floods in the watershed, sediment has a prominent effect on the useful life of reservoir constructed in the watershed for control of flood, hydropower generation, irrigation and water supply. Thus, reservoir sedimentation has a major effect on smooth management of watershed. Wasteland. Out of the total land in a watershed, some areas may be wasteland. Degraded and currently unutilized land, or the land which is in the process of deterioration for lack of proper water and soil management or due to natural or man-made activities, is called wasteland. Thus, a land is said to be wasteland when it becomes unproductive for cultivation and unfit for habitation. The wasteland management towards sustainable development is necessary. Landslide. It is the sudden movement of mass of soil down the steep slope of a hill when the interparticles cohesive or shear force exceeds the force of gravity. Landslides may occur during the earthquakes and due to continuous rainfall. The soil mass flows down with a runoff as viscous flow. Therefore, it is also called debris flow or a muddy flow. Surface and subsurface drainage. Drainage networks both on surface and below the surface of watershed are necessary to remove runoff and seepage water from waterlogged cropland in watershed for proper growth of crops. Socio-economic factor. A survey of people living in the watershed should be made regarding their needs, wants, economic conditions, health, hygiene, cattle, farming practices and their participation in watershed management. The demographic profile, sociological stratification, form, practice and structure, attitude and behavior of the community and land tenure system all affect the watershed management to a great extent. Droughts. It is estimated that about 25% of population in the country has to face the recurring consequences of drought. During drought, people have the tendency to intensively exploit groundwater, which results in abnormal water table. This leads to adverse impacts on community, flora, fauna and cattle. Management of urban watershed during drought becomes difficult owing to mushrooming growth of slums. Flood routing. Flood routing in a watershed is the technique to predict the flood in a stream at some downstream site from known flood hydrograph at much upstream location. It acts as flood warming of river watershed at downstream of river at some vulnerable area. This is very important for saving the community living some lowland and downstream of the river of the watershed. The deterioration of watershed takes place owing to various unplanned, uncontrolled and unscientific activities. Agricultural land. In an agricultural land, cultivation along a slope without any precautions, cultivation without agronomic measures to conserve soil and water, cultivation of erosion permitting crops, faulty agricultural techniques and overcropping without replenishing the soil fertility lead to deterioration of watershed. Forest land. For proper ecological requirements, 33% of forest cover is essential in the watershed of a country. Government of India planned to maintain at least 1/3 of forest cover in the year 1953. But this forest has continued to decrease every decade due to man-made activities such as growth of human habitation, deforestation, fire, unplanned planting of trees, felling of trees and faulty cultivation practices. The aerial distribution of the country decreased from 30% to 15% from 1950 to 1970. Thus, the watershed in the country are grossly deteriorated due to the loss of forest cover. Grassland. The grassland in a watershed is of two types. They are natural grassland and artificial grassland. To prevent deterioration of watershed, the grassland must be protected. Uncontrolled and excessive grazing on this grassland, growth of weeds, development of cattle tracks causing damages and compaction of soil and decrease in infiltration all combined together lead to deterioration of watershed. Mining and construction activities. Vegetation cover and landscapes are damaged by these activities. Also, these activities may obstruct the natural drainage system by accumulation of eroded soil and debris, and thus these activities lead to deterioration. Shifting cultivation. Sharma claimed that shifting cultivation in the northeast region should be regarded as the first step towards food production from ancient time. Under this system, agriculture is practiced in steep hill slopes after clearing and burning the forest vegetation, and thus the system is susceptible to excessive soil erosion. Soil erosion on the steep slope occurs at the onset of monsoon, and it has a damaging effect on topsoil. Fire. Intentional or accidental fires during dry period of the year in forest cover result in the loss of vegetation, organic matters and microorganisms, leading to deterioration of the watershed. Non-cooperation of community. Community's participation in the management of watershed is at the root of development. Awareness of people, participation and response are most important aspects. Once the community stops cooperation in conserving and enriching its ecosystem, deterioration of watershed begins. Effect of watershed in community. The watershed management community includes local, regional, state and national entities as well as other private and governmental organizations and industries. Water, soil and vegetation are the most important natural resources of a watershed. If these resources are not conserved, controlled and used judiciously, community of the watershed is bound to be affected. For example, most of the rainfall water is lost as runoff if not conserved. The water needed by community for purpose of irrigation, water supply and hydropower will not be enough and community will be affected. This runoff, when allowed to flow freely, causes erosion of topsoil, which directly affects the cultivation and production of community. Runoff also affects groundwater table and therefore aquifers are not recharged to required extent. On the other hand, community must be very careful in the conservation of rainwater or runoff generated from the watershed. Proper management of water in watershed by way of flood control and multi-purpose reservoir may lead to devastation by flood and river bank erosion. Thus, the community of the people living in watershed areas are enormously affected by water. Soil eroded in watershed eventually joins the river and creates problem congestion of the river. Meandering of watershed river develops. River encroaches a bigger area of cropland. Travel time of flood increases. Water overflows the bank leading to failure of embankment and occurrence of flood. As a result, flood crop fields are damaged and community is directly affected. In the absence of proper watershed management of soil conservation methods, production on eroded soil diminishes and community suffers a lot. The river system in India are classified based on place of their origins as Himalayan rivers, peninsular rivers, coastal rivers and inland rivers. Rivers flow to the seas, oceans, lakes, big rivers of the main watershed. The watershed of the big rivers such as Brahmaputra, the Ganga and the Godavari need to be delineated from macro to micro levels for the better management. A systematic delineation of different river basins of the country was made by the Central Water Power Commission under the chairmanship of Dr. A.N. Khosla in 1949, and the country was delineated in the following 6 water resources regions. Region 1. Rivers falling or spilling over Arabian Sea excluding Indus system. Region 2. Rivers in Indus Basin. Region 3. Rivers falling into the Bay of Bengal excluding the Ganga and the Brahmaputra system. Region 4. The Ganga system. Region 5. The Brahmaputra system. Region 6. rivers in Rajasthan. This delineation was made by CWPC for the assessment and development of surface water resources of the country.